welcome to our workshop, our final workshop on nurturing joy. So we're going to begin today. Our final workshop is on the DDMS system, how that can be used for us in ministry. I'll try and put it back there. So we're going to begin today with prayer. It is the feast of St. Padre Pio. So I'm just going to share my screen here. So I thought we would use a prayer to St. Pio, Padre Pio. Let us begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Gracious God, you bless Padre Pio with the 5 wounds of the crucified Christ, making him an inspiring witness to the saving love of Jesus in our world, and a powerful reminder to us of your infinite mercy and goodness. Through the heavenly intercession of St. Pio, we ask for the grace to see all our work through your eyes. Help us, O Lord, to imitate Padre Pio's devout faith, prayerful holiness, patient forgiveness, and loving compassion toward others. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So today we're going to welcome, and I'll invite Rob and Erica to turn your cameras and mics on. But we welcome Rob Schoenberger, who is the Director of IT Services for our diocese, and Erica Watkin. Erica is a customer service, IT customer service person. But I do know that Erica specializes in DDMS and lots of other things. She's always all over things. Response. So Rob and Erica are going to take over the webinar for today. I'll pop back on when they're done with any questions, and we'll address those at the end of the session. So I'll see you all soon.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Claire. So Eric is just going to manage the slides at the start, actually all the way through. I'd just like to take a few moments at the beginning, first of all, to thank you for coming to participate in this and listening to our presentation. I'd like to set a little bit of context, and then Erica is going to follow with some very specific examples. So this is about DDMS data and opportunities for encounter, supporting the Nurturing Joy program, and specifically the encounter aspect of it. So if you go to the next slide, Erica. These are just a couple of reminder slides. I know I need them, and so I use them to set the context. And what did Jesus command us to do? The quote from Matthew 28, verse 19 to 20, is becoming more and more familiar as we journey towards evangelization. But go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always until the end of the age. So that's our command. Next slide, Erica. And so we're trying to obey this command. And one approach is by engaging in the Nurturing Joy work that Claire and Cassandra and others have been working on to help us in each of our parishes and our offices to do the best that we can to nurture joy everywhere that we are. And as Claire said, we're focusing on the encounter right now. So phase 1 is the encountering all the people in our parishes and in our families. In fact, within the borders of our diocese, wherever we may find ourselves within the diocese. So we're going to be focusing on the encounter part and how DDMS can play its role in that. But just as a reminder, part 2, which is coming next, is igniting people's love for Jesus. And there's ways that DDMS can help with that. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it can be used as a tool to facilitate. And then, of course, once we've ignited the love for Jesus in many, we start to grow the families united in the body of Christ. So I applaud Claire and this program. It's really wonderful. So what's our goal as the people of Christ, as the Church of God in the Diocese of London? Just some brief points as reminders: to be a listening church, to be a welcoming church, to be excellent at customer service. And I use that term because during the listening sessions for the Diocesan Center, I had the opportunity to be part of Bishop Joseph's group. And he used that term customer service. We can use also care for people. But customer service really does convey the idea nicely. Becoming a caring community. And what struck me the most was no one should feel anonymous in whenever they're encountering any of us or our churches. And hopefully we'll demonstrate how DDMS can help with that a little bit. Anticipate the spiritual needs of people. For example, the death of a spouse. There are many bereavement ministries and so on across the diocese. DDMS might be able to help organize that a little bit more too. So how do we identify as a welcoming community? What are the benchmarks? St. John Paul II gave us these words: a parish must be a welcoming family home. Everyone belongs, no matter the complications in their life, and they must know that they belong. Our world excludes, and we must include. No one is here to pass a test. Next slide, Erica. So with that kind of context and some of those reminders, how excellent data and DDMS can help us in our mission. And so we're doing our best to frame this, and excellent data and skilled and disciplined use of DDMS can help in three critical ways. Those things can help create opportunities to encounter people. They can help us with customer service or care of the parishioners in our families and in our diocese, and striving for excellence in that. And providing accurate data can help us make well-informed decisions and answer your important questions about ministry, about finance, about various areas within the life of the family of parishes. Next slide. So it can be used, as I said, excellent data can be used to help us with encounters by answering questions, whether it's understanding family relationships, so the whole parish team can have the appropriate information about different families and different needs for different people. We can also have lots of information about financial support. I think one of the examples Eric is going to show you, to steal a little thunder, is that what's the demographic that's giving the most? If it's 60 plus in terms of years age, then that informs us about some of the things that we need to do and where we need to focus our energy. And understanding the needs of the families and the parishes and the community. The next slide. Okay, so this is the next one. Okay, so DDMS can help with encounters. It can be used to record important information in a standard format in a centralized database. So the consistency of the information is important. Erica and I had the wonderful opportunity to do a deep dive on DDMS with the Sarnia Blue Water family of parishes. And we both appreciated the opportunity and the time that they gave so that they could tell us what was working, what wasn't working, what we can do better, and what kind of information they need in order to run their ministries. So having the data in a sort of a standardized format is helpful for consistency and learning about different aspects of the family of parishes life. But also they made a point I never thought of. The priests move around, and wouldn't it be great if when they went to the next family of parishes, there was consistency of the data that they needed access to, whether it was about families or individuals or what have you. So there's an opportunity for us to use DDMS in that way. Of course, we can look up information on what we might need and do different reports, and we can use it to improve customer service. So the example I've been thinking about is, and I use this is because I've heard it in different locations that I've gone across the diocese and from different individuals. It would be great if we could get baptismal certificate information to people asking for them for marriage or what it may be. It'd be great if we could get them in 2 clicks. That would be a fantastic opportunity, a fantastic way to improve customer service so that we don't end up redirecting them or frustrating them, and it's taking what they perceive as a significant amount of time to try to get a piece of information that they need. And so timely access to information is important too. If there's specific information about individuals, we can share it in DDMS in such a way with the appropriate permissions and security that the right people that need to know about it can know about it. Next slide. So just a brief word on data integrity, and then I think we'll get to the part that you'll find more interesting with Erica. So what's needed for data excellence? Well, data integrity means that all the data that's recorded is important. All the data is recorded accurately. All the data is complete, and all data is updated accurately. So once it's in, that if there's any changes, we get accurate and timely updates, and there's no duplicate data. So that for data excellence, we need good data. We need data that has good integrity, and we need skilled and disciplined use of DDMS. Next slide. So you can't have one without the other. There can't be data integrity without the skilled and disciplined use of DDMS. And that's where you need to lean on Erica and I around the use of DDMS. And that was one of the reasons we met with the Sarnia Blue Water family yesterday. They learned things about DDMS that they didn't know and sort of almost quickly made their lives much easier. So that's you need to lean on us for that sort of thing. So there can't be data integrity without skilled and disciplined use of DDMS. There can't be useful information and reporting without data integrity. There can't be well-informed decisions without data integrity, and of course, achieving that with skilled use of DDMS. And so informed decision-making requires a shared understanding, co-created solutions, and trusting relationships to get all of these to work together. So the data is critical in the sense that it helps inform the decision-making, and enabling ministries is what we think you can accomplish with good data. Okay, next slide. Okay, so just a closing comment. So DDMS is not the center of anybody's world, but it is a tool that we can use to help improve all the things that I've just talked about and find ways to enable ministry and, in fact, assist the mission of the church. Okay, so Erica, I'll turn it over to you now.
Okay, thank you, Rob. So yeah, we want to take all that information that Rob has instilled in us and see how we can apply that to DDMS. Okay, so we're going to start with the first screen you see when you enter your login credentials. You'll see all these notifications on your home screen. So the home screen can be used as a customer service screen. So a list of items you want to review, complete, and those you wish to communicate with for the day. So the types of messages you might see on the home screen would be communication from one parish to another. So if a parishioner has moved and they were registered with you and they're now registered with another parish, there's that communication between the two to let you know. The homepage is also used for like a list of things to do or reminders. So you can assign anyone at your parish who has a user in DDMS can assign a notification. So you can remind yourself to complete a task on any profile for the day. You can set reminders in the future, and you can set reminders for the day of. So anytime there's a new development in DDMS, there's a new user manual, then I will send out a notification on your home screen. So you can check those out as well. If there is a new user manual, you'll be able to go to the DDMS user group in DDMS, and you'll have access to all those documents there. So the other part of the home screen is the Merge tab. So this is a list of potential duplicates in DDMS that are there for you to clean up. So whether the merges make you sigh or get you excited, we'll see. So in keeping with what Rob had said, with keeping good, accurate data, the duplicates will will improve the system and improve accuracy. But first of all, how did the duplicates get there? So we used to work on OPF, and that database was merged into DDMS back in 2017. However, the information was displayed in OPF. It wasn't changed, it was just brought right over. So if there were duplicates then, there's going to be duplicates in DDMS as well. However, we've had a few years on DDMS since then. So I would imagine that those duplicates have been cleaned up. But there was an additional issue with the duplicates, and that's when you add a new parishioner. So before, when you're adding a new parishioner, it wasn't, if you didn't manually check the database to see if they already exist in the system and you just added them because you didn't recognize the name, the system wasn't checking to see if they already existed. So it would add them in addition to their original profile. So there were duplicates coming in. And so now, since 2018, I believe, we put in new programming. So when you add a new parishioner, the database now checks based on the last name. And so when you're adding a person, there'll be a long list of people with the same last name. And if that person is in that list, you know that they already exist in the database and you can just select them. And so really you're just adding a new relationship to the original profile. Okay, so the merge tab on the home screen is the system's best guess as to where the duplicates are. So it lists actual duplicates. It also lists profiles that perhaps you're missing some type of information. So they might be totally different names, but under the same household. So the system wants to know how they're related. Is it a child or is it a parent? Or is it a spouse? So there's those types of cleanup as well that you'll see under the merge tab. So the issue with the merge is if they are not merged and you have multiple profiles for the same person, it's not great data. You're not going to get good results when you run reports. It's complicated when it comes to accounting. You're not sure which profile you add their offering to. There's a few different issues there. So the best way is to have good data. So the goal is that each person has one profile, no matter how many parishes they visit and contribute to. So to do this, you can look at your merge tab and it's going to give you the suggestions. If it's in fact one profile, you'll click merge. You'll go through the list of differences. If the address is slightly different, you can pick the best address. If there's any other differences, it will list it for you and you pick the best data and then you commit the merge. So there's one listing on your home screen under the merge tab, but also if you're just looking up a last name and you find that it brings back multiple results for the same person, you can merge a profile once you're in their profile. So once you select the person, you click on Actions menu beside their name, and you'll select Merge Person. So you'll enter in the last name. Again, it will give you a long list of results for everybody with that last name. You'll pick the duplicate. And then again, you'll go through if there are any differences between the two profiles, and you'll pick the most accurate information and you'll commit to the merge. Once you do that, it will bring you back to the home screen and back to the merge tab. It will actually create a new table for you. It's called Merges in Progress. So it keeps track of how the merge is being completed. So if it doesn't complete, then you know it didn't go through and something went wrong and you got to go back in and just make sure that the merge does complete. So you know it's done, it says done, or if you refresh the screen, it will come off the screen. So if there are any merge issues that come up, just feel free to email me about them and I'll work through it with you. If you notice that you have a long list of merges, then don't get overwhelmed. It happens more so now because of the family of parishes. You just have more access to the database. So you might have been caught up on your merges, but now that you're a family, you have some more to go through. This should now stop now that you guys are a family, and you have all the parishioner access that you need. So if you want kind of troubleshoot with your team and maybe just say, you're each going to commit to 5 merges a day. And then that long list will condense down really quickly. So it's kind of like slow and steady wins the race. So it is something you can accomplish. You just need a plan, and I'm happy to help you with that. So adding parishioners to DDMS. So now we will not have any more duplicates, because once you click on people and businesses, you add a person or business, you check off the relationship to the parish that they have, whether they consider your parish a home parish or whether they're just visiting. Once you type in the last name, it will have a little drop-down list. So anybody that's in the system with that last name, if they're already there, you can select that. Therefore, no more merges. Okay, so we're going to add information to the profiles. So at the beginning, when you just add a parishioner, perhaps you don't have that much information. But when you reach out to them, and you can just grab all this information. So especially if they come in just for sacraments, you have all that information in front of you. It's really important to grab their date of birth. That will help in a lot of reports going forward. Perhaps there's somebody with the same name in the database. You'll know if they're a junior or senior. You'll know kind of who they are a little bit better by their date of birth. Email, family dynamics. The sacraments are great because you do have all that information with you. You can update their actual sacraments. You can update their certificates. Everything is available in DDMS to make these profiles complete. One key thing that keeps coming up is most people write things down on a piece of paper. Instead of writing it down on a piece of paper and then adding the information to DDMS, every day when you come into the office, if you sit down at a computer all day and you have your email open, also log into DDMS and just keep DDMS open all day. Then when the emails come in or when the phone calls come in, you can find their profile. You can see if there's any missing data, and you can ask them questions and get the information that you need. Just another way to make sure that these profiles are updated. So in DDMS, to go into a parishioner's profile, there's a couple different ways to do that. You can look up the parish in DDMS, and you can go to the relationships tab. This will list everybody who has a regular relationship with the parish and those who are visiting, those who are occasional, maybe they just pop by once. There's the whole listing there. So you can use just little keywords, whether you just know part of their address or just part of their last name. You can do a little sub search and it will find the parishioner for you. Once you find them, you can click on view. The other way to find a parishioner is to use a global search and use the last name search type criteria and then type in their last name. So once you're in their profile, you can go ahead and go click crazy and update as much information as you can. Anything that's missing is a little bit bold and kind of out of place, so you know that you'll need to fix that information. If you have somebody in the family and they're unspecified, that means we don't know if they're a sibling, a parent, a child. So you can just click on edit relationships and tidy that up. If we're missing an email address, click on edit profile, contact information, and enter in the information there. If you need an address, click on their address. This is all under the summary tab or under the profile tab. We want to move on to important information to make on the profiles. So in your communication with the parishioners, and whether someone who just walks in or whether, again, a phone conversation or an email that comes through and you're gaining information about this family, or before you make a phone call, you want to know, what happened in the last conversation. Is there any red flags? Is there any sensitive information you should know about the family? So you can update the profile so that everyone in the office is aware if there's anything sensitive or something that would help this family out before making that phone conversation. So there are notes to add to the profile. There are notifications, there are reminders, and there are sticky notes. Okay, so a sticky note is kind of like as if you're just going to put a Post-it note on a paper file. So it's something that draws your attention to it. It stands out no matter what tab you're on in the profile, you'll be able to read the sticky note. So something maybe that's sensitive to the family or something that somebody should know. You can just click on Actions and then click on Add, Edit, Sticky Note, type in your note, and then press Submit. If something has changed in that family and that's no longer relevant, you can just erase that information by doing the same thing. Actions, Add, Edit, Sticky Note, erase the information, erase the note, and press Submit. To add a note, so this is more of an internal note on the profile. It's not advertised anywhere. It's not going to populate on your home screen. This is just something that you might want to write about the parishioner. It doesn't have to be anything sensitive or bad or anything. It could just be that you want to invest in that parishioner's life. You want to make them know that you know about their family, you remember the last conversation. Just going a step further, when you call them again, say they told you that they bought a new dog, and so next conversation when you call them, you can be like, hey, how's the dog doing? Just something where you can create that relationship, and you don't have to have the greatest memory because it's in a note, and it's just going that step further to build the relationship with the parishioners. So to do that, you're going to be in the profile. You're going to click on Actions beside the person's name and click on Add Note. It's also on there. It has its own tab in the profile. Might have skipped one. But you can also add reminders or to-do tasks. So the reminders or to-do tasks are either notes that you will need to come back to because it's in a future date. You can't make the change right away. So for example, somebody calls in to let you know that they are moving. You have a new address for them, but you want to send them something before they move, so you don't want to update their address right away. So you can enter in a future date, enter in the message that you want to relay, and then you can send it just to yourself, or you can send it to everybody who has permission to that profile. So if you're not there that day, your coworker can go ahead and update the profile as needed because they'll receive it on their home screen. So to do that, it's under the Actions menu. You can add a reminder or a to-do item. They are similar. You can pick the date, add your message, and then again, the privacy level, you're going to add it to whoever has access to the file, but then you assign it just to yourself or just to a group of your coworkers. And then that message will come up on the home screen when it's due, or you can look up future reminders as well. There's that option on the home screen too. So groups in DDMS. So we have lots of groups that everyone, I know you guys were asked to add and make sure it was updated and everything was perfect for the annual stats. So other than being told to add the groups, now I want to go a step further and I want you to add them. And it's just so that you guys have a list of what's happening in your parish. If anyone calls in and they have a need, you'll know kind of like what ministries are there available to them. And you can kind of point them in the right direction. So once you have your group in DDMS, you would add your leader of the group, you would add all the members of the group. And once this group is created, you can click on the group and you can easily send out mail out lists. You can send out email blasts. You can upload documentation to the group. So say if you have alpha and the documentation doesn't change much year to year, just store the documents in this group and then it's ready for the next person to take over next year. It's just a good way to realize who's involved in these groups, who are your volunteers, who's helping out, and you can grow your volunteer list as well. You could take the groups even one step further. So you have the necessary groups that you have at your church, but you can also have the ones that as you're going through different things in your church, you're finding a greater need for an additional group. So you can create care groups. One example is if somebody passes away, you're going to go into DDMS and add the death event. And the death event kind of wraps up the profile. It asks, if there's any pre-authorized payment schedules in place, it will put an end date on that. If there's an envelope that's assigned, it will put an end date on that. It will archive the person, but it also mentions if there's a spouse. And then they become the former spouse, and now they have the title of widow or widower. So if you notice that they have a spouse that's been left behind, as a church, you want to minister to that person. So if you add that person to a bereavement group, now you know that person is going to be cared for and reached out to from the church, and you can send them a card or send them an email or a phone call and just make sure that they're okay. So there's lots of reports in DDMS. I think the best thing to know which report you want is to figure out what you're trying to accomplish. What am I going to get out of these reports? Why do I need them? And how can they benefit me? So the reports in DDMS right now are under the reporting tab under the parish. It's contribution summary report. This gives you a lot of bar graphs, and it also gives you a lot of data from the last 5 years to see if you are growing or whether you have some decline. It gives you well, I'll get into the details a little bit later with one of my questions, but those who have contributed that are new and those who are no longer contributing. Then there's a contribution detailed report, which is actually the parishioners' donations, exact donations, and how much. Then there's our demographics and our donor info, our events, and then there's the parish profile reports and receipts. I will go into more details in a bit. But first you want to ask why you're generating these reports. So like maybe ask a question, what type of contributions bring in the most money? Who is giving but is no longer giving? What age group give the most to the church? And what groups should we have at our church based on our demographics? So keep in mind, the reports won't give you a lot of the information you're looking for unless you have all that good data that we've been talking about this whole time. So with your good data, you can find out what type of contributions bring in the most money. So in asking this question, you're going to concentrate on if we know that most people are giving online, then we know that if we have an online option on our website, then they're not clicking on 10 different clicks to contribute. That is right front and center. As soon as you get to that website, you're going to see a donate now button or something like that, where you just click on that and then click on your choice of payment. So this way is just to really focus in on how you can utilize all your resources that you have. If you need a list of those who are no longer contributing, we are able to do that through the contribution summary. So if they're no longer contributing, then your goal of this report is to reach out. So as soon as you find out how many, grab your list. You can print out the list. You can take your time, go through it all, and make your phone calls to check in with these people, see how they're doing. Maybe there's a good reason that they're not contributing, but maybe they have other needs and they need the church to assist. So this is just a good encounter moment to reach out to your parishioners. So the contribution summary report, it actually gives you a little summary of those who contributed and how many of them, and that if they're new contributors who did not donate in the same time frame as the previous year, and then also the decrease for those who stopped contributing but had donated the previous year. So at least you have your summary, and then it gives you the list of individuals who made up that criteria. So this is a great way to reach out to your parishioners. So the demographic report, so this, you can run this based on status. So if you want to check out everyone who maybe considers your parish a home parish, who contributes often, maybe regular attenders, occasional visitors, and children included. This is where your date of birth comes in handy. Because if you don't have it, then it's going to be a chunk of information that you won't have accurate data for. So this parish that I ran it for, it looks pretty good. There's still that one little area in blue, light blue, where there's no date of birth. But in general, they have a good diverse age group. And then you can match it up with what each group donates the most. This is good to grow your church in different groups that you have at your church. You know, if there's a large, I think I'm talking about the next slide. There we go. If there's a large demographics between maybe like 20 and 50, then you know that your groups that are offered at your church should cater to this age group. So you want to keep this age group. You want to grow this age group. So maybe more adult outreach events, family events. If your larger age group is like 70 plus, then you just want to make sure that they have a way of coming to the church, maybe offer a bus service, maybe have meal chains. And then if there is a small group, you also want to cater to that small group just to make it grow. Maybe in the community, there are more of the parishioners that are teenagers and you want to grow your youth group, then build those groups up to cater to that age to bring more people in. So finances, tracking finances in like working with pledges. DDMS can track pledges. So anytime you have a fundraising goal, please use DDMS. So I know you'll probably, like maybe you're raising money to put a new roof on your parish. You'll have your goal as to how much you want to raise, how much it will cost to cover that. And then you're going to reach out to your parishioners to see who is willing to commit to this challenge. So once you have your pledge information, you can go into DDMS and you can track who has committed and how well they're doing. So in the parishioners profiles under the offering tab, underneath of the pre-authorized payment section, there's a pledge table. So if you click on add pledge, you can put in your first date of payment, your last date of payment, how much this person is willing to contribute per month or per week. And then you just assign it to the appropriate fund. So maybe the building fund. So you put that information in, and then as the actual monetary donations are coming in, you can run a report to see if they're on track with how much they have pledged to contribute. So when you do this, it is under the donor info report. And then there are a couple little check boxes specifically relating to the pledges. So when you run this, you'll be able to see who the person is, how much they have pledged, and how much they have received to date, and whether there's a balance or whether there's a surplus. So in DDMS, we record all types of contribution types, and then DDMS also receipts for these types of donation. So we have e-transfers that you can create your own offering batches for. The pre-authorized payments, there's a whole process around that that makes it really easy for those who donate to not even think about it once they have filled out their paperwork, and then you know that that's like an automated payment that's coming into the church. Then you have your regular offering with cash and checks and envelopes, and then anything coming in online, whether you use Plenty or not, you're able to track all this in DDMS. And all of this is you're able to create batch tax receipts, and you're also able to create on-command tax receipts. So anyone calling in and they need a quick tax receipt on something, you're able to help that person out right away. And then also the batch tax receipts, it's not as time consuming. You're able to do it in one time in a big batch. So all of this is available in DDMS when the contributions come in. We work alongside with a company called Plenty, and this is automated through DDMS. So you're just able to assign the first donation to a profile, and then going forward, it's automated and it comes through. So you're able to track all those donations. And then Plenty is also great for, it's well advertised. So you're working with the QR code, you're able to kind of put the QR code any and everywhere. If you have like an email signature, you put it on that. If you have your website, just one click, and then hopefully you can see where you can donate to Plenty on your websites. Any kind of like live streaming, you're always able to put the QR code across in a banner. Any kind of advertisement, bulletins, the QR code is really easy to put everywhere. You can make magnets. Their white labeling is kind of endless. So it's just, if it's well advertised, you'll receive more funds coming in. Okay, and if there's any questions about DDMS and there's any one-on-one training, I'm always available. If there's certain things that specific topics that I talked about that you want to discuss further, I'm always open to the one-on-one training. And I will send this back to Rob.
Thanks, Erica. I would ask if you could just take a few minutes to remind people about the DDMS users group, because you've worked hard to put a wealth of documentation together about the different features and as new things come up. So could you just touch on that a little bit?
Yes. So anytime I add a new user to DDMS, I automatically add them to the DDMS user group. Define the group. Once you're logged in, you'll go to the top right-hand side in the global search. You're going to select groups from the search type, and then you can type in DDMS user group or just a keyword DDMS, and then the search results will bring back that group. If you click on view and go to the documents tab, you'll see a long list of any and all types of manuals. So there's an overall manual of how to use DDMS in general, and then there's a whole bunch of different specific, like if you can think of one topic, maybe sacraments, there's an instruction manual just on sacraments. So it's available to any and everybody. So you can first start there if you have a question about something, and then you can always give me a call.
Great. Thanks, Erica. Okay, I'm just going to take a few minutes just to wrap up the presentation. And I hope along the way you've seen ways that there's opportunities to use the system to create opportunities for encounter. The one that strikes me the most is the example of those folks that have stopped giving within, say, the last year. It's a great opportunity to help discover why that is. And if there's any way we can do to help them, anything we can do to help them, as Erica said. So, and that's just one of many, many things. So you can see on this slide, I've just revisited what data integrity is. I think I beat that one up enough. So as you can see, good data is just extremely important. And how we use the system, Erica mentioned that if you have the opportunity to be at your desk and you can open DDMS up and enter the data as it comes in, that's great. Just going back to our meeting with the Sarnia Blue Water family, that's not practical for everyone. Many of our priests are on the move all the time. And so for them to make a note and then come back to their desk and then take the time to type it in. So we recognize it's not for everybody, but I think there's an opportunity for those that can do it to do that discipline. And then we will work towards ways to make it easier to get timely data in, because we live in a world where most of our things are done on our smartphones for that matter. And so we'll look at ways of making data entry easier and data capture easier for everyone. Erica mentioned the DDMS user group, which was fantastic. There was a lot of information Erica covered. She didn't have the time to bring up DDMS and show you the different screens. We have the screenshots there. So this was like skimming across the surface of DDMS. And I really encourage you to schedule, we're offering you the opportunity, let me say it this way, to meet with us face-to-face at your family of parishes to do a deep dive into DDMS. And we will learn things and you will learn things, but the most important part of that meeting would be for us to discover how to do the most important things that you need, whether it's a specific kind of report or any of the other different things that Erica spoke about. So I encourage you, and let's leave it this way. If you'd like to meet, please email Erica and I together, and we will schedule a time to come on site, and we'll dedicate a day for that. I think we made good progress in Sarnia the other day, but that's not that will be the last meeting. We're on a road of discovery here. So help us to help you so that we can sort out and do what's most important, not what we guess at being the most important things for you. So I think the last thing I wanted to mention is, actually, I'll save this for the very end. So next slide, please. So Erica mentioned the merges and just how important that is. That can be one of the things that we spend time with you on a day when we come up, if we wanted to meet with your family of parishes. We'll spend time going through those, understanding the problems. We did that again with one family of parishes already, and we discovered some problems. And so now that they're brought to our attention, we're going to address those, and we'll make it better than it is today. Entering new information in real time, and just creating opportunities for encounter, whether it's in the family relationships, through the sacramental information, all of the work, all of the things that Erica has mentioned. So there was more to share than we had time to today. So again, help us help you. Let's work on solutions together. And I'm just going to close with a very specific example. So St. Mary's Parish in Ottawa is using DDMS. And they did a complete census for their parish. This is not a family of parishes. It's for their parish. And they entered all the data into DDMS. And when the lockdowns came in 2020, they used the data in DDMS to reach out to everybody in their parish, or at least everybody that they had captured in DDMS. And they were offering things from, are you lonely? Do you need food? Are you able to pay the hydro bill? Are your children behind in school? Is there some way we can help them catch up while these lockdowns are happening? And they had many more examples of the different things that they tried to do. And DDMS was just the smallest of tools to help them facilitate that. So they had good data. They could generate the lists. They created groups of volunteers to go out, and that's what they did with the data. Now, census and clean data and all of that, it's not trivial to do those tasks, and we're all running like crazy already, it seems. So that's where we want to work with you. And as Erica said, we can do it in small, manageable pieces and kind of work through the process. And whatever we learn from meeting with your individual family, we will share that with other families so that we don't have to reinvent wheels anywhere. We can take really good strategies and share it with everybody. So that's our goal, is to help you get DDMS so that it's in good shape and then it can be a more useful tool for you. And I think with that, Claire, I think we're set.
Awesome. Erica, I'll just ask you to stop sharing. There are a few questions already in the Q&A box. So if you stop sharing, we should be able to see. All right, great. We're all on screen now. Super. All right, so let's just go through a few of these questions. The first one is, can we group one family who has multiple listings and merge them?
So sometimes when you merge one individual, it does clean up the family if they have the right relationship status. So it could work. You'll just have to check once you merge one person, see if that actually cleans up the family unit.
So cleaning up a family unit could work with one merge attempt, or it might take multiple merge attempts, but you can actually get the whole family unit cleaned up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the short answer is yes. Yeah.
Okay. If there's any follow-up on that, Wendy, throw it in the chat. We have a parishioner who has changed her parish registration at 3 of our 4 parishes. When we go to the homepage of the parishioner and click edit, the 4th parish does not appear. And this is the parish where she actually wants to be registered at now.
Okay. So if you're in the person's profile, it tells you a list of what parishes they currently have a relationship with, whether they're a visitor or whether they consider the parish their home parish. And you can have many different types of relationships with like many parishes, even with everybody, like all the parishes in your family. If there's one that's missing and now that's where they're attending the most, then you go and you re-add them. So you go to people and businesses, you add the parishioner, you make it their home parish or whatever status you want. Once you type in their last name, then it will show up in a drop-down list, and then you'll see that the person's already there. So you don't want to add them like they're brand new. So you select that person and then press submit. And the only thing that will change is you're adding a parish relationship to that profile.
Great, thank you. Regarding groups, how do you send out emails to these particular groups?
Okay, so once you set up a group, you can click on view. Once you view the group, it opens just the same way as if you're viewing a parish, but only you're viewing a group. So it would be under the relationships tab, and then you click on mailing list, or you click on quick email, and it only grabs those within the group.
Okay.
So then you can take those email addresses and attach them to an email and send out whatever you need to do, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay,
So
good.
snail mail or email, it's under the relationships.
Okay. Thank you. That was just a thank you.
You're welcome, Hannah.
All right, well, just give it 1 second for other questions. Anything come up from either of you as we're chatting?
But I would invite anybody that's watching right now or watches the recording later on. You can, even in the chat, just say we'd like to meet at some time in the near future. Just identify yourself, and then you'll be on our radar, and we'll do that, because we are scheduling these meetings with different families of parishes. So please, either now or later on in an email, please let us know.
Awesome. I suspect that as families of parishes, once they're activated, you start to learn what your needs are. They begin to evolve, right? Like we don't have all the we don't even have all the questions right away, because we don't even know what the questions are going to be until you've sort of lived it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Jim's asking, is there any thought about having reports run by the family instead of running multiple times? I'm hoping I asked that correctly.
Thought about reports run by families instead of, okay, yeah, everything right now in DDMS is per parish. Now that we are kind of working as a family of parishes, that will be something that we will have to develop the system to keep up with the diocese new changes. So statistics like reports, everything. It's we're thinking of these things, but they've now more come up in the last year or two. So
Yeah, I think one other family had the same kind of question is, are there certain kinds of things that we can just report by family? What would be really helpful for us in guiding this development is if you could just email Erica examples of the kinds of things that you'd like to see that would be of value to you. So if you're imagining, I'd like to run these reports on my family of parishes, what would be your top, what would be a list of 10 or 5, but then what would be the top 3 and kind of prioritize them so that we can do the most important ones first, and then we can share those things. If there's common benefit, Erica can post the information to like the DDMS users group, or we could do another webinar at some point about families and parishes and DDMS and so on. So that would really be a help to us. And it doesn't have to be detailed reports. You just need to say, I'd like to know how many things are across our family of parishes, and can I get that from DDMS?
Great. Thanks, Rob. I know, just as an aside, Rob and I have had conversations about our hope is to be able to start to do a once a month IT webinar series where we tackle some of the most prominent, I don't want to say issues because I don't think they're issues. I think they're the prominent advantages maybe of the systems that we're using. So that people can utilize them to their best, to their greatest function for the work of ministry. I know that even, we've had some conversations about the Microsoft 365 stuff, and in reality, it's so underutilized. And I said this the other day at orientation, but our team has started to use Planner, and I love it because it keeps me on track, and it's just like I just put all my notes in there. Joe hates it because he gets an email when he's behind on something and that makes him crazy, but I just changed the date. So so Erica, can you see that question from Catherine? She says, perhaps I'm being nosy, but I see view like HR 5000, not home parish regular on my own personal page.
Yes. So we do have the HR database in DDMS. They are completely different processes, but there is a parish called HR. So everyone who is an employee will be under this parish. And then that's the only information you can see. So that hopefully, ideally, because you want one profile per person, that you'll see every type of relationship that they have with a parish. HR, non-home parish will be one of them, ideally.
So that's basically our diocesan HR department basically has that. Is that what you're saying? That comes from our diocesan HR.
Their HR parish, and then from there, and then it builds to get your employment record, employment position, and all that stuff that you can't see. But technically you're in an HR parish.
Right. Okay. It's not like Holy Redeemer. It's like human resources.
Yes.
In my head, I'm going,
very
HR,
true.
what's HR parish? Holy Redeemer.
Yeah. We meet at 5,000, like a number that doesn't fit in with the parish level, and there's like no other information.
All
so
right.
it seems
Great.
but that's
Great.
what it is.
Yeah.
There's 2 little messages in the chat.
Okay. Go for it.
So Wendy was asking about the merge list. So the merge list grew when you become a family because you have more access to the database. So if they're at 1 or like 2 of your parishes, and now you have access to both of those parishes, you're going to have a duplicate. So now that you guys are all a family, the merge list shouldn't grow. It should only get smaller. So unfortunately, yes, if you have 4 parishes, you might get a lump sum of duplicates to work through. But my suggestion is, even if the total amount seems like a lot, just do what you can. Like pick 5 a day, work with others if they each pick a few a day. It will start diminishing. So, and then we're working on hopefully speeding up the merge suggestions a little bit back.
Yeah, it's that old adage of how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? Like you just have to.
It is time consuming, but hopefully we're going to speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it can be partnered with other activities like a census. So for example, those again, with the family that we met yesterday, one of the parishes had done the census. So they got the high priority data elements collected and updated. It wasn't a very long list. I think it was 5 or 6 items that they asked in their census, but they got those all into DDMS. So if you're doing a census and then there's sort of merges and do other different activities, there may be ways to do them together. And if you're wondering about how to best do that, give us a call and let us know, and we can help sort through some of those things, so that you can maybe multitask just a little bit, but it has to be a productive multitask, not a trying to save the world in one fell swoop.
all right. Anything else? Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Rob and Erica. I'm always a bit overwhelmed by the amount of knowledge that you guys share. And I love technology, so I think any way we can use it to help our parishes function well. I think for a lot of people, we get really comfortable with the things we're comfortable with, and learning something new or adapting our learning is challenging. And I also think we can learn something, but if we're not actually implementing it, our learning gets lost very quickly. I can show my mother 15 times how to do something on her cell phone, but if she doesn't actually do it, I've got to go back and teach her another 15 times, because if we're not using it. So knowing, Rob has said it numerous times, Rob and Erica and all of the IT team are there to help support you in the work that you do, and the programs and software options that are at our fingertips. So please utilize them. Stay tuned for the IT series of workshops. Rob and I have to work out some details on that, but that will be coming. And we are currently working on stage 2 of the Nurturing Joy series project, I guess. And that is called Ignite. We're going to kick that off for Thanksgiving weekend, where Encounter was all about creating welcoming, hospitable parishes. Ignite is about forming the people in your parish for the work of evangelization. So how do we draw in volunteers? How do we prepare them? How do we ask them? And what do we need? What do they need from us to be able to do the work of mission, to fulfill their baptismal call? So that will be coming out. There will be a couple of workshops, webinars I'm working on, and we're going to plan an actual in-person gathering, which I was saying, we did orientation to ministry for all of our not all of our new employees. It's mandatory for LEMs and new priests, but we had a number of other people join us in person. We did it in the conference room at the Diocesan Center, and it was just really nice to be in the same room with people again. And the few people that joined us virtually basically said it would have been way nicer to be there in person. So that will be our way forward, hopefully. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again to Rob and Erica. We will see you all again. Take care. God bless everybody.
Thank you.